The Palace Theatre, Mansfield Museum, the Old Library, home of the creative arts here in Mansfield. But you don't just have to perform on the stage or learn your lines to be part of this ensemble. So let's shine a light and see how you can be part of the ensemble, either in front of the curtain or behind it, and see if we can find the role of your lifetime waiting here for you. In this video, we'll explore the venues, meet the people that work here, and have a good look at the varied roles in the creative arts. This is the Mansfield Palace Theatre, which houses many varied shows throughout the year, from pantos to musicals and dance shows to stand-up comedians. Let's enter the box office where nearly 123,000 tickets are sold each year.
So from the moment you walk through the door, actually a lot of stuff's already happened. So you might have bought your tickets online. In fact, to even get to the door, something must have made you get there. So usually there's a marketing team that have worked to put together a campaign that will say, this is why you should come and see the show, this is why it's amazing, this is why this show's just for you. When you buy your tickets online, usually it's been set up by a company who design software for buying tickets. That will have been set up by an administrator or a box office manager or someone like that. And then taking you through the doors to the theatre, that day someone will have gone round and cleaned everywhere for you and made everywhere look nice. And you'll usually be greeted by someone at the ticket office or the box office, or somebody's there to give you a great welcome. It might be an usher or a front of house assistant or a welcome team. Coming to the theatre is all about having a great time with your family and friends. So you might want to pick up a drink at the bar. One of our friendly bar team or bar supervisor or catering team will help serve you before the show. They might sort your interval drinks out for you. Normally there is a large established team of bar assistants. You might have a catering manager that would order all the stock. Sometimes you have cellar workers or people who can clear the lines, just like working in a pub basically. I oversee Mansfield Palace Theatre and Mansfield Museum, and also I work with local people. So it's all about making sure that everybody in Mansfield can access creativity, culture, heritage and the arts. On a day-to-day basis, I programme what's on the Palace Theatre stage. So I basically choose what we have on stage from lots of different touring companies who are bringing their shows all around the country. So I'll have a look at what our audiences need, try and make sure I pick a really mixed and diverse programme so that there's something for everyone, but also that local people can access a real diverse range of the arts, so that if you are particularly interested in something, then you could see that in your hometown. So I got to doing what I'm doing now by just having a go, being curious, being creative and trying new things. So I did creative subjects at school, and then I also did a drama degree at university. When I left university, I'd volunteered throughout my studies doing lots of different creative things and education things. And then when I left university, I started working front of house. I worked in the box office. I then worked in learning and participation, which is like working in youth theatre and schools, doing drama and that sort of thing. I then took a bit of a steer in my career and started working in marketing and communications. So that was all about dealing with journalists, the news, and promoting the theatre that I worked at the time, delivering marketing campaigns, that sort of thing. I then went from being marketing officer to press officer, to being marketing manager, to being the head of marketing and communications for a theatre, which was a really big opportunity. It meant that I had lots of responsibility, and I got to join alongside other colleagues as part of a senior management team, and that was the first step in me really being excited and interested in leadership in the arts and what that looked like, which led me to working here. And I continue to grow in this role, and I was once told that if your role looks nothing like how it did when you were recruited, then you're doing the right thing. That if you continue to experiment and try new things and have a go, then you're growing with the organisation, which I think is really cool.
Now let's make our way to the green room, where cast members wait before the show and in between scenes. The stage, home to many a performer or group. But can you imagine how much work goes on behind the scenes to bring the performances to life? Let's talk to the team to find out more.
I've been technical manager now for 3 years. I first started in 2007 as a technical assistant. I was fundamentally employed to be a sound engineer. And then I progressed through the ranks. I became from a technical assistant, became assistant technical manager, and then I became technical manager, and that's what I have been doing for the past 3 years. It is a huge business. There is so much for people to enjoy, lights, sound, and even within them there is sound designers, lighting designers, you've got wardrobe, stage management team, that's the ASMs, DSMs, production managers. There is so much. You've got the flies, the stage crew. There is so much. It is very difficult to be able to pinpoint absolutely everything that this job entails. I think a lot of the time it's what a lot of people see and enjoy. It changes on a day-to-day basis. Even though I am technical manager, here at the Mansfield Palace Theatre we are a receiving house. That means we have shows come from up and down the country, all over the world. They all come to here to bring their show to Mansfield. So we may be dealing with so many different things. Language, we may be dealing with personalities, it varies. Certainly, once again, with the show's requirements, what lights, what sound, what stage presence they need, all changes, and it is down to me to be able to make sure that that is all organised and ready before their arrival, so everything runs as smooth and as enjoyable as possible for not only the audience, but for our guest companies that come through the doors as well.
I do a little bit of everything, so I can do lighting, do sound, I do stage work and flying and rigging, anything that needs to be done really on a day-to-day basis. We basically just make sure that any show that comes into the venue can run in the venue, so if it's a touring show then we'll supply them with anything they need to make their show work on our stage, whether that be something simple as power or whether they need somebody to run their lighting. Sometimes with amateur companies we'll do stage management for them or we'll call a show for them. One show I could be calling a show and the next day I could be doing the lighting for a show, and then the next day we could just be doing maintenance, or we could be cleaning or repairing equipment.
Now that we've heard about some of the career roles at Mansfield Palace, why don't we take a look at the museum? It's not that far away. Mansfield Museum opened in 1904 and is home to a wide range of exhibits and activities.
A curator varies depending on which museum or heritage site you work in. My role here as curator involves a very wide variety of different things. I'm responsible for the building, so I have to do lots of things to do with safety and fire risk assessments and all the things that includes. I have to manage the staff here, so I have to do things to do with HR and recruitment. I'm responsible for the collection, so I have to look after that in terms of checking the environment and checking for pests and things. I am also responsible for doing a lot of the planning for the exhibitions and events and making sure that they are all organised and ready to display. I do a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of service planning and writing reports and planning what the museum's going to be doing in the future. I sort of came into the role of being a curator by accident. I've always had a love of history. I'm passionate about local history and about the local community and how those two things can work together. And I've worked my way through the ranks here at Mansfield Museum, and curator is sort of the top job really. You know, there's nowhere to go after that. The creative art that I use the most in my role is the visual arts. My job is all about making sure that things are engaging and things look pretty and are interesting for people, so that when people come into the museum they want to look at them and they become engaged with the things that are on display.
Mansfield Museum also hosts visits from schools all around the area where there are many educational activities to get involved with.
So I usually arrive quite early in the morning, depending on what I've got going on during the day, because each day is very different, as I'm sure you can imagine. So if I've got a school coming in for the day, I usually come in quite early and set up all the resources that we're going to need for that school visit. And depending on what theme the visit has, will depend on what I've got to set up. So some of the times we're setting up things for a session on Vikings or Romans, and another time I might be setting up something to do with the history of Mansfield. So we might be getting out lots of tins and shoes rather than actual artefacts that of historical value. I will be quite happy to set all those things up on my own, get the education room ready for the pupils coming in and the staff that are coming, and making sure everything is on hand so that we have a nice smooth day. Obviously there are days where we don't have any schools in, so on those days I might be helping out in the galleries with the other staff, or I might even be going out into the community to put up an exhibition in a care home or a residential home. So it varies every day. Along with lots of office admin tasks like getting in touch with schools to organise visits, or even updating the website like I'm doing at the moment. So I do work mainly within Mansfield Museum itself, but at the moment I'm going out into the community and taking out projects into care homes and residential homes for residents that can't get into the museum. So I do some outreach work as well. And sometimes I also go into schools and take the artefacts into the schools when schools can't necessarily get to us. So it's lovely to be able to go out into the community as well as working within the museum. I haven't always been an education officer. I started my career as a primary school teacher, and I did that for around 20 years, which was great fun, and I really enjoyed the job. But circumstances changed and I decided to take a break from teaching. So I took some time out with my family, and then I decided to carry on my teaching career but in a slightly different way, and worked within the hospitality sector.
Now let's visit the old library. What jobs do you think we might find there? The Old Library is a studio theatre and houses various performances such as plays, gigs and dance. It is run through Inspire Youth Arts and offers many creative opportunities to people from the local community.
So my main forms of dance, I mainly teach contemporary dance, and that's what I perform in as well. And then I also teach street dance and occasionally teach modern jazz as well. So I would say my journey began when I was around 17. So it all began, I met a local dance artist, Georgina Saunders, who works for Inspire Youth Arts as well. And she provided me with a lot of opportunities as a young person. She's also part of Next Door Dance, who are a Nottingham dance company. So she introduced me to them. And from then I joined their youth dance company, and I got to perform in a lot of performance opportunities with them, and they provided me with great skills as a dancer. As a young person I did a lot of projects with Inspire. I took part in a load of performance opportunities and events that they held, and I used to love it. I used to get involved in everything that I could because I used to love it and it was great fun. And then I went off to university to study dance, and then on my final year at university I got back in touch with Inspire Youth Arts and Next Door Dance because I always kept in contact with them, and I did a work experience with them on my final year with all of the team at Inspire, and I shadowed Next Door Dance on their rural tour. I have other roles as a practitioner. I'm also a youth support worker for Inspire Youth Arts, and I also have recently taken on company manager responsibilities for one of the dance groups at Inspire, with the aim of developing where they are at the moment and hopefully turn them into a dance company.
As well as housing a performance space, the old library has its own state-of-the-art recording studio where a dedicated team supports people from their community to record music.
So what inspired me to become a musician was my family. So I grew up in a very musical family. Both of my sisters, one sings and both of them play musical instruments. But I was never able to play a typical musical instrument because of my abilities. So when I was at school, Inspire Youth Arts came in and they showed us how to play music on iPads, and it started from there. And then someone called Sideshoe eventually created a controller called Control One, and that now enables me to be able to play music freely. So I can be, at the minute, I'm learning how to teach people in different softwares. I can then lead groups of other musicians, kind of be a mentor to other young people, and the people who I work with at the moment are Inspire, but mainly Digit Music, who are the people that invented the controller. We were fortunate enough to play at the Royal Albert Hall for the 10 pieces BBC Proms, and that to this day still doesn't seem real. I've also performed at BBC Introducing, performed in London, all sorts.
We have seen the skills and responsibilities that are needed to work in the creative arts, but what subjects do you think you need to do well in to be successful in these jobs?
So maths, when you're doing set measurements, when you're deciding how much space, how much room you've got, how high do you need things, how wide do you need things, maths always plays a part of that. Sound engineers, it was only for several years ago, I say several years ago, it's more than 10 years ago, sound engineers stopped wearing lab coats because they come under scientists as well as technicians, so it all varies that way. Arts, crafts, design work all comes under this for designing a set, building a set. Then you've got your materials, carpentry, anything along those design works. English, you are getting a script. Even though the actors have learnt the script, you've still got to follow the script to the pace in which the performance is running at. So English is an absolute vital as well. Good communication is the key to any show successfully running.
Things like English, maths and science, along with history and geography, communication skills and PA or PSHE as it might be known now. But there are also things like DT, and I use these subjects every day when I'm working with the schools with the sessions that we do.
The school subjects that made me successful in my role are things like English and history. Also I did art and graphic design.
I think core subjects are important in any job, but for this one in particular, your main ones like English, maths and science do come into play. So I'd say English, you need good skills in English. With being self-employed and freelance, you have to take on all of your own responsibilities. So there's a lot of communication involved, such as like emails or writing up reports and stuff. I'd also say you need skills in maths. You have to work out your own invoices. And you might apply for funding, so money gets involved there and you have to have the right skills to be able to do that. And then finally, I think science is quite important. You have to have a good understanding of your own body as a dancer.
So the school subjects that have helped me be successful are maths and English, because English helps you to look professional when you're writing emails or when you might just be chatting on, maybe you have a group chat at work, but it just helps keep a nice structure. And maths is really helpful if you're in the studio and you need to work out, okay, I'm making a drum beat, what tempo do I need? Do I need to half it? That's where division comes in. Or you might need to time something or take something away or add something. So you don't need to be the next Albert Einstein, but just having these simple things will help you in the future.
Just do as much as you can, get involved as much as you can. anything you can do, whether that's just sitting and watching somebody work, ask as many questions as you can, and people will give you the time. If you want to learn, people will find the time and they'll teach you.
I would just say go for it if you're going to go for a job in the creative arts. It's absolutely fantastic and it's well worth it. Keep going. If you have a few knockbacks along the way, just keep at it and you'll get there someday.
If you're not being heard, shout. Don't just sit there, don't just, think I can't do it because I haven't got A, B and C. You can do anything that you put your mind to.
Just look for anything that you can within the creative industry, even if it's something slightly out of dance. Anything that you can get, just take it, and if any opportunities come your way, just say yes to everything and find the time.
I would say follow your passions, try and do new things and have a go at stuff, because you never know where you might just get the bug for making wigs for opera singers.
But the best thing is seeing the museum full of children, enjoying themselves and learning lots and lots of wonderful things while they're here.
And when the audience are leaving at the end of the day, and you can see the smiles, you can see the reaction of what it could bring. For even if just one person thought that was the best show they've ever seen, then our job is complete.
I think I enjoy being able to speak on behalf of other young disabled people. I enjoy the people who I work with. But I think the main thing is I enjoy doing what I love. I love making music. I love being able to put all my passion into something creative.
It's different every day, and getting to experience all different types of shows.
Seeing lots of really happy, smiley families visiting, that makes it feel like you've done a good job if you're making little faces smile when they're on school trips and that sort of stuff.
To see the impact that I've had in my classes or any project that we've been doing, just to see a young person on their learning journey is great to see, and just to know that they're having fun, it's really nice to witness.
I love coming in every day and knowing that I'm making a difference.
Today, we have seen a snapshot of some of the jobs you can find in the creative arts. We have also seen the ways in which you can gain these jobs, the importance of the subjects you're studying now, and the skills you might already be starting to gain when working in these roles. But which one was your favourite? Of course, this was just the tip of the iceberg. What other jobs do you think are available in the creative arts? As you can see, there are many varied opportunities, and there's bound to be a role ready and waiting for you.